Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, July the 3rd, 2023. And on a special Monday evening episode, you are here with the Wise Guys. Good evening. I am one of your hosts. I am the Big Rican on Sports, Mike Martinez. And let's now bring in my co-host with the most, the Monty to my Harry Doyle, Mr. JC Blue Note, Jim Cornetti. And James, good evening to you, sir. Happy 4th of July early.
Happy 4th of July.
And we got a few things to get to tonight, and I think we should let everybody know this is episode 1 of this week. Not to be confused with episode 1 of Star Wars, which was terrible. Although we can be a menace. Anyway, not that you know what that is.
Take your word on that. You and John.
I think John will be upset that I even brought that up. So episode 1 this week is Saturday night, where you're going to basically dive really into NBA free agency and the Cleveland Cavaliers and what they have done to remake their roster, coming off a 51-win season, which I think was a success no matter how it ended. Just this short amount of time removed from the second coming of LeBron. But we got a few things to get to tonight. First off, I understand you're a little tired this evening from your exploits last night, sir.
Yeah, we will not bring up exactly what it was, but we will go into it later. And that's the reason why we're late, is because we were watching part 2 of the excursion. And
yes,
you all will get a little taste. Mike got his first experience tonight.
I did, and I got to tell you, this is something I need to do. This is something I seriously need to do. So let's start.
11.
Yeah, dude, I hope to be asleep by 11. So let's start with something I sent you earlier today on either Messenger or in text messaging. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Is that the name of his show?
I think so.
With Chris Sims?
Yes.
Okay. Mike Florio is saying that there's a divide between Mr. Cosby and the Browns as they are hesitated bringing in DeAndre Hopkins to the fold in Cleveland. And I have this to say: shut the fuck up, you son of a bitch. They handed you $230 million guaranteed dollars. You sit down, you shut the fuck up, and they forgave your baggage.
I mean, how much?
Are you kidding me right now?
Mike, let him keep talking. Let him keep doing this, because all it's going to do is it's going to make my prediction from last year when they signed him become that much more fruitious, to where I can officially to kind of steal the name from Alan Cox here in Cleveland. I can actually become Nostradamus.
Hold on. Come here, bud. Contractually obligated.
Contractually. It's, it's as long as it's within the first block of the show.
Well, that's true. So anybody who wonders, Oliver is now sitting next to me. I didn't feel like sitting up forward in the chair tonight, so I sat all the way back and I brought the computer in closer. But I mean, seriously, the set of fucking balls on this guy.
It's bad enough that he didn't actually handicap them with the future by stripping all the, the upfront draft picks and salary cap money, which they now have to restructure and turn that into signing bonus or roster bonus money, but they can only circumvent the league once on that. And then when this whole thing fails within the next 2 years, you're still going to be on the hook to pay him at least, because nobody's going to pick up that contract.
No, they're not. And you know what the thing that really burns my ass about it, Jim? And it's not just that he said that, because I understand he had a lot of success with DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not taking away the numbers. D-Hop hasn't been what he was in Houston in 2 years. You have a legitimate number 1. You brought in a legitimate number 2. Tillman in the draft. I mean, obviously, I have my issues with SEC guys coming north, but he's a good number 3 option. You still have Donovan Peoples-Jones.
And you're still trying to make something with David Bell, your 4th-round pick from last year.
Who are you getting rid of out of that room for DeAndre Hopkins?
Right. And also, you still have Njoku.
Well, yeah, and I'm just talking about the wide receiver. I'm not talking so much about the tight end room. But, I mean, let me ask you this. and this is me being serious now. And the only thing, again, everybody out there, the only thing Jim and I talk about is order of things we want to discuss. I'm going to ask you a serious question. Does the motherfucker have CTE? What is going on?
People want to think because of his alleged standing or what he thinks of himself, it's a God complex, whereas it turns out at this point it's slowly but surely turning into an inferiority complex.
Dude, I get his numbers weren't flashy. Baker would have never pulled shit like this.
And then there was the report that came out today that Baker said that he did not enjoy his time in Cleveland. He did not have fun in Cleveland.
I will say this to that comment. I think Baker's exit is still too fresh in his mind to say that.
I think about the only time he really had fun was after Hugh got dumped, because then the shackles came off and he enjoyed himself under Greg and Freddie when Freddie was a coordinator.
Do that again. It's almost Jeff Fafa level. But seriously, I know I usually don't go on the profanity-laced tirades.
It might be Jeff Fafa level because he's using an extra F. Greg is using an extra G and an extra L.
Oh. Good point, my friend. I mean, I don't usually go on the profanity-laced tirades till we're about 15 minutes in. I hit this dude hard from the top. I mean, dude, when I saw that, I was just like, are you kidding me? He should be kissing their feet, let alone their ass. For sacrifice, let's think about what the Cleveland Browns really sacrificed with him. Cap space, draft capital. How about part of the fan base?
Right.
How about part of the most loyal fan base in all of sport, in my opinion, the Cleveland fan? Whether I said this to Patrick, whether they feel entitled since that title in 2016 or not, they are still the most loyal fan base. There is not many fan bases in the world that would put as many asses in the seats in that stadium with as god-awful hot fucking garbage as they have been for the better part of 25 years.
This is going to be a very, very controversial take that I'm going to bring up right now. Look at the fan base reaction between the quarterbacks, and I just thought of this as you were bringing this up. The Baker fans are the ones who pack in the seats. The Watson fans are the ones who are on the sports talk shows because they're not going to the games.
Because I'm not out there, I don't hear it with them. I just can't fathom it, dude. I cannot fathom it. I cannot wrap my head around a guy who a team took a $230 million flyer on. Because that's what they did.
Right.
Yes, he had great numbers in 2020 on a 4-12 team. Yes, he had great numbers in 2020, and he's put up statistically good numbers each year. He has as many playoff wins as his predecessor, and he had far better rosters than Baker ever had. And now you're going to start bitching that you're over the hill, buddy. They won't bring him in. And listen, Florio's a good source.
Yep.
So that's why I put stock in this. This wasn't Bleacher Report. This wasn't anybody like that. This was Florio. Of course, Florio was on Pat McAfee a couple days ago saying that there's an NFL player who dropped $8 million in gambling debts last year, but I digress. As we had another round of...
Because that guy didn't want to get broken off for 3 years.
So bad. So yeah, I had to get that one off my chest at the beginning of the show. Thank you for allowing me that. I don't get it, Jim. I've been trying to wrap my head around it all day. because we didn't do much today. Hit the store in the morning before it got too god awful hot, and then just been home hanging out with Bobby and Steph all day. But I could not wrap my head around it.
They haven't picked a team for Hard Knocks. Can we put them back on there because of the
They picked the Jets.
dysfunctionality?
They picked the Jets.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially with the whole Aaron Rodgers, thing. You've now got Green Bay East, but it's like, could you have found a better scenario right now than the dysfunctionality with the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, you could have had Detroit again because Dan Campbell's damn entertaining.
Yeah, but Detroit's on the way up. Usually, when they have Hard Knocks, it's a team that's going through a lot of controversy. I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers coming in, but look at the situation in Cleveland. The coach is on the hot seat. They lost the naming rights to the stadium in a scandal. You've got a quarterback who now is trying to recruit one of his friends who handicapped the salary of the franchise, handicapped their draft capital. You brought in a former second-round pick who you hope is going to blossom into his potential. Your number one is a number one, but he basically would be a 2 on some of the higher echelon teams in this league. Even a B-level team, he would be a 2. How much more and there's still fan base bitching about, did they make the right move in keeping Baker versus Deshaun?
They're going to do that until Deshaun gets a full season. Now, I don't know if you've seen this. Most people predicting this season have the Browns finishing last in that division.
I wholeheartedly agree at this particular point. Show me otherwise, because now at this particular point, you got to rely on Watson, but the problem is you're going to try and make Watson do something he's never really done. You're going to try and force him into being a lot more of a pocket presence because you've got the best running back in football, and you don't want to take carries away from him. Even more.
No, you don't want to take. Yeah, you don't want to take carries away from him. Let's do this. Let's force Deshaun Watson to win football games outside.
Here's the scenario that I feel why the Browns are already going to finish in last, and they're certainly not going to be above 500. This isn't going to be an NFC East thing where you had every team finish above 500. But if you got the option to be able to have Deshaun Watson beat you with his legs versus beat you with his arm, he's Lamar Jackson without an MVP. Tell me I'm wrong. To quote CM Punk, even though I can't stand the guy, tell me when I'm telling lies.
The only time I think you do that is when you talk shit about the Mets, but that's about it. Oh, and when you talk shit about the Buckeyes. Outside of that, you're a pretty truthful damn person.
I was not the only one to go in on the Buckeyes, and we will cover that in the last segment of the show.
Shut up. Anyways. Sorry, I got that stuff on my arm. It's itching like crazy tonight. So yeah, Deshaun is going to destroy one of the hallmark franchises of the NFL. Have fun, Cleveland. You picked them.
Can we kind of agree that the only thing that they have going for themselves right now that's like positive is that Dog Pound logo going to finally replace that fucking elf at midfield?
That Dog Pound logo is killer.
Especially with all the Easter eggs that are hidden in it.
Yeah, I love the state of Ohio in the ear.
The stadium shape in the collar. Yeah, all of that.
Yep. I love that stuff. Are they going to wear a patch for Jim Brown?
I'm not 100% sure, but they're going to have to. I also think that they're trying to get approval or something to put something on the field. I don't know if it's going to be in the end zone. I don't know if they're going to do something special with the 32-yard line, but they're working on something. But it hasn't come to fruition yet.
Well, I mean, the league likes to take their time on everything, but suspensions over stupid crap and giving Roger Goodell a pay bump.
Right.
So, anyways, on to happier stuff, and let's get to let's talk about craziness. Let's talk about what is free agency and everything else going the fuck on in the NBA
and the NHL.
and the NHL. So, Jim, let's start with the NHL since I've been running my mouth for the last 15 minutes. And let's get to your take on something. Saying, what has been the biggest move in your opinion? And what has been the best move so far in your opinion? They could be the same thing, but which one do you think is which?
I'm thinking right now that the biggest move has to be Ryan O'Reilly leaving the Toronto Maple Leafs and signing with the Nashville Predators when a lot of people thought that he was going to go back to St. Louis after the Blues traded him away for a stockpile of draft picks at the trading deadline last year. Now the Blues are nowhere, and there he is.
Hi, Ollie.
The Blues have done nothing at the deadline, kind of pains me a little bit. Well, then again, they did go out and get Kevin Hayes out of Philadelphia, who was their second best scorer last year. But they did not move any one of their 8 guys who have no trade clauses right now and are jamming up their salary.
Whoa. They have 8 dudes on their roster with no trade clauses?
Either no trade or no movement clauses.
Jesus. Oh, speaking of contracts, I want to add a thing later on since we just passed July 1st. And I want to tell you one even better than the one we talk about.
Yep. Because I think you've got 2 of them, and I got one to bring up as well.
Okay.
Ironically enough, I think they're all in the same city.
No, one's in Los Angeles.
Okay, one's in LA and 2 are in New York.
Okay, then we got 4. We got 1 in LA, 2 in New York, and 1 in Cincinnati.
Let's just do it now while it's fresh.
Okay. Do you know that Mookie Betts makes Bobby Bonilla look like an idiot?
Yep.
Starting in 2033.
What? $8 million a year?
$8 million a year. Oh wait, that's just for the first few years because then it goes to 10.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't it bump to 10 or 11 or something?
Yeah.
And then
so get the fuck off it.
Yeah, and then you go ahead with your other one.
Remember, if not for the Bobby Bonilla contract, the New York Mets never have David Wright. And 3, oh, by the way, Ken Griffey Jr. is the 3rd highest paid player on the Cincinnati Reds. Yep. Get off of Bobby Bo.
And the New York Islanders are still paying Rick DiPietro $1.4 million until 2029.
Didn't he play? He's a radio host in New York now.
Yep. Yeah, he's on the. I want to say he's on the morning show up there on Long Island. So they are still paying
on FAN.
Yeah, they're paying him $1.4 million, and he has not suited up for them since 2006.
How long was he there?
It was a 15-year contract. I want to say he played 6. Dude. And then had to retire, I want to say, after 8 because of double hip surgery.
I would say I thought it was injury.
Yeah. So, but getting back to it, I think Ryan O'Reilly to Nashville is the best move because a lot of people thought Nashville was going to start selling off, but as it turns out, they're actually going to try and go for it a little bit because their division's a little bit ripe. I thought the best move were the Ottawa Senators going out and signing Arturi Lehkonen in net, considering all of the issues that they have. Cam Talbot came off of double knee surgery. Anton Forsberg, who used to play with the Blue Jackets and especially the Cleveland Monsters here, came off of double hip surgery. So it'd be nice to actually see a team up and coming, even though Alex DeBrincat wants to be traded out of there a year after the Senators traded to bring him in. And there's still a lot of names out there that haven't been moved, and a lot of people that, there still could be a lot of trades. So Vladimir Tarasenko and Patrick Kane are still sitting out there right now. But is anybody really going to give them the $8 million a year that either one of those was commanding last year? And the other thing I would have loved to get Alex's opinion on this. As of July 1st, Jonathan Taves, the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, is an unrestricted free agent because they said last year with his injury history that they were not going to renew his deal. So you've got the 3-headed monster in Chicago, not part of their last Cup team, but you had DeBrincat, Kane, and Taves, and all 3 of them are basically outs.
Let me ask you this. No, I think Patrick Kane, he's going into like year 11 or 12, right?
Yeah, he's going to be 34. There was talk of him going to Buffalo, but I don't know if Buffalo wants the headache because they actually just went out and signed two veterans to shore up their blue line. I don't think Buffalo needs another forward right now as a diehard Sabres fan.
No, and I don't think so either, just from the roster construction I've talked about briefly, obviously. But my question is this. You had mentioned this on one of our other shows about Florida with all the injuries that they have had. Have they done anything to shore up their roster with all these guys coming back after the season starts?
I do know that they brought in one guy. I want to say it was like for $3 million a year. I can't remember who it was because there's been so many moves going in and out. I think like the biggest move that a lot of people were like, oh, you can already kind of pencil them into the finals was Dmitry Orlov leaving Boston and going to Carolina. Like they need him. So you just basically put him, and then they re-sign another one of their big restricted free agents to a massive deal. So you get a team who actually went out in the Eastern Conference in the conference finals, even though Florida swept them in the conference finals, and you actually add one of the best scoring defensemen in hockey.
Making the team better is something that it seems to me the NHL does better than any league. And they do it by plug and play. They don't really do it by massive stars like the NFL or the Major League Baseball or NBA do. So that's why I wanted to ask you about that, because I saw the NHL was going fucking crazy. And we know, like, listen, dude, the NBA is starting to make me scratch my bald ass head. It's just, I can't even figure it out.
Right.
So let me ask you this one. Where's Dame going to land?
A lot of people are pointing Miami. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't happen because of the Kings ransom they would have to give up to get him.
They're talking it may end up being a 3 to 4 team trade where James Harden is involved.
Yeah, because
he ends up with the Clippers.
Because the one thing that I was seeing is that if Miami wanted to use their own capital, they'd have to give up 4 players and Tyler Hero's a part of that, and 3 future first round draft picks for a guy who's 32 years old, be able to get the money to even out.
Yeah, but the thing is, somebody made a good point. Bobby was napping today. I was playing the show, and I was listening to Windhorst and some people on ESPN. The few people on ESPN I actually give a shit about.
Let's also be honest. A lot of the people that we can't stand are no longer there.
A lot of the people that were good at their job but we couldn't stand aren't there either.
Susie Colbert.
That was rough. That was rough. And the guy who did all the Sports Center with Stan Verrett, he just said, "I'm done."
Yeah. No, it was Stan Verrett, wasn't it?
No, Verrett. The guy in the dude with the glasses.
It wasn't Scott Van Pelt.
No, Van Pelt's still. He's got his own show. He just retired. He may not have retired, but he left ESPN for 23 years.
Neil Everett.
Yes. Neil Everett left ESPN.
No, it's Stan Verrett left. I'm looking at it right now. Stan Verrett left. Neil Everett's still there.
Okay. I got him mixed up.
Did you actually see who's going to be the lead analyst with Mike Breen on the NBA telecast next year?
Is it Richard Jefferson?
Doris Burke.
That's awesome. They should put Richard on the sideline.
Very heavily rumored. I would love to see. Well, then again, Van Gundy isn't gone, but I would love. I mean, I think RJ
Van Gundy is gone.
What's that?
Van Gundy is gone.
See, as a Knicks hater growing up, and I think that Van Gundy talks out of his ass because he talks about his glory days way too much. And let's be honest, except for a couple of years, he didn't have any.
No, he took a team to the finals as a head coach. There's a lot of guys in this league that are making money as analysts are still in the league.
Yeah, but it was a Jordanless Eastern Conference that year.
And it was a Patrick Ewing-less New York Knicks team. that ran into the San Antonio Spurs in the finals.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Van Gundy gone, I think Doris would be a great fit. But I think you have to move RJ onto the sideline.
You kind of have to, although RJ, can you imagine him in a 3-man booth with those two? How entertaining that would be?
Anybody but Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
I loved him as a player. I liked him in the movie Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg and John Sally. Have you seen that movie?
It's been a minute, but yeah, I mean we're old enough to actually remember John Sally on the Best Damn Sports Show. Period.
I thought you were going to say the Pistons.
That too. But what?
Speaking of, those cookies were good.
Leanne Tweeden.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the cookies were good.
Excuse me, can you get the fuck out of my shot?
Do you know what the best part of the Best Damn Sports Show period was? It gave us, first of all, it gave us Chris Rose. And who is it? The original four was Chris Rose, DeMarco Farr, John Sally, and John Kruk.
Yep.
I mean, you couldn't have four dudes who were polar opposites who were funny as hell.
Uh-huh.
Kruk's an asshole now. Kruk's doing radio play by color analyst for the Phillies. And he's the worst homer ever. He makes Hawk Harrelson sound like he hated the White Sox.
Does he actually is he as bad as Jim Lachey? Because Jim Lachey is probably the worst homer announcer I've ever heard.
No, he's not as bad as Jim Lachey.
No, but
by the way, I agree with you. I could listen to Paul Keels call football, call basketball for every day.
As a Buckeye hater, I will completely agree with that. Paul Keels is a gentleman and a scholar and a pleasure to listen to.
And when he gets excited, like if I had my choice and I don't watch him, I'm not going to be able to watch him this year. I'm going to have to listen with being streaming here. It's Gus and Joel on TV. As much as Fowler is great, it's Gus and Joel. There's nothing like Gus Johnson going absolutely apeshit on a big play.
Oh, come on, Scrooge McDuck. With that gigantic promotion out there, you couldn't spend $9 a month to get a VPN?
No. No. No, and it's not even that. It's more, you know what? We're bare bones in it until we get something more permanent down here. Plus, I'm an SEC country. They won't let me watch the Big Ten down here. Are you fucking kidding me? They're going to hear the airwaves, and they're like, what are you doing? But yeah, if I'm listening to radio, it has to be Paul Keels. I can't listen to, like, if they're on ESPN radio or something, I can't listen to it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we got shakeups at ESPN. The NBA is going crazy. So let's get to some of that real quick, because the majority of our show on Saturday night is going to be NBA and mostly Cavaliers focused.
Yep. And we're not going to cover the Cavs tonight. We're going to save that for the weekend.
No, I'm probably going to break out the Larry Nance jersey too.
Nice.
Larry Nance Jr.
Provided it's not 9,000 degrees, I think I might have to go big Rican Cav shirt too. It's a black shirt, and it could be muggier than shit, dude.
Listen, I don't wear just the jersey and nothing else underneath like these idiots in the NBA. I don't got the body for that.
Yeah, that's true. But at least this way you have the air conditioning where you are. I don't actually. The air conditioning only works out in the living room, so I actually only have like the floor fan on my feet right here.
Yeah, but I'm the type that if my feet are cold, the rest of me is cold, so that would work for me.
Yeah, we can figure something out because I can't even put it's more the window fan. But the problem is that we all know in a window in an apartment, the window fan might be like, yay tall, but the window is like that tall, so it's only covering about 2/3 of the window. So what's the point?
So from what I was seeing, there's a 3, possibly 4-team trade. James Harden would end up in LA with the Clippers. Tyler Hero would be the centerpiece from Miami along with draft capital. Dame would end up down in Miami. Jim, I think that puts them on the fast track to be the Eastern Conference champion again. And then makes them a matchup nightmare, even for Jokic, a Jokic-led Denver Nuggets team. That with Dame and Jimmy Butler, that is a matchup nightmare. And Bam Adebayo.
You would think with the starting five, but it straps them of a lot of depth because let's also be honest, and we'll talk about it more in depth on Saturday, and we're hopeful that we have a very special guest with us to do so. It's kind of in the works, but we got to remember that another key piece of their depth and their immediate, first 5-6 man rotation isn't there anymore as well. And you're actually talking about a 3-team deal where you could have 3 more depth players and a potential starter moved out.
I don't think it would take them that many players if they brought other teams into it.
Right.
And I think they would get players back. Let me ask you this. Do you think Kevin Love goes back to Miami if that move happens?
I think they almost have to at this particular point. Number one, for the veteran leadership, because they don't have a ton of it. But number two, just to be able to fill another body on the floor.
Okay. They didn't have any big picks in the draft, right?
No.
Okay. Although I will say this, if you get Donovan Mitchell's seal of approval like Amoni Bates did, I got a good feeling about him too.
Yeah, but the kid's a work in progress. I mean, you're hopeful in 2 or 3 years he's ready to come up to the big club.
Yeah.
I mean, having him with the Charge, for and that's the Cavaliers G League affiliate, also playing in Cleveland. But that would, that's your best scenario for this kid right now.
Okay. I don't know much about him. I didn't do a lot of college basketball this year. So we'll leave it at that.
Play, but he's extremely, extremely raw.
Okay.
I think Mobley's brother's got more upside than this kid does, to be honest, from what I've seen of him.
Last piece in the Cavaliers. You see Mobley's brother on the 12-man this year? I
think so. It's I mean, with the moves that they made, I have to think that back end guys, because now you don't have Lamar Stevens, you don't have Chetty, you don't have you may not have Raul Neto come back, so I could see a spot where he's more so in the rotation.
All right, we need to stop on the Cavs.
Maybe a second unit somewhere in there.
Yeah, we got to stop on the Cavs because that hurt me. That move, that hurt me.
I think it kind of had to be done though to be able to swing the deals that you needed to. But again, we'll tear more into that on Sunday.
Yeah, and you're most likely right, but that's the heartstring thing with him. I seem to latch on to all the players they end up getting rid of.
Yeah, but let's also keep in mind, because of the 4 major sports that we talk about on this show, the NBA has basically made a living of sign-in trades. You don't get that in really any of the other sports.
Very rarely in baseball. It's happened. But it's
not very often in hockey, and
no.
I mean, it's a rarity in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, and the most famous one I can remember in baseball is Johan Santana, the Mets.
Yep.
So the rest of the NBA. Now let's talk about the Marcus Smart deal again. Because remember, I said I thought they needed to move on from Marcus Smart. I just didn't know they were listening. We got to check our subscriber list because we should get some credit for that if that's the case. But yeah, Boston's remaking itself. You think Porzingis is a good fit up there?
I think it adds a little bit of height that they may have been missing, but Porzingis is not what he was 2-3 years ago before his injury history. I mean, if he could be serviceable, play 40-45 games, I think it's a win for the Celtics. But right now, you don't really know.
No, you don't. And I tell you what, though, as far as what they need, I still think they need a point guard who can run the offense. But with Porzingis, you actually stretch the floor more. So that's a nice little piece to have.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did stuff?
Russ going back to the Clippers.
Russ back to the Clippers. Yeah, but we saw that coming. No one else was going to take him. James Harden opting in. He only opted in so that they can trade him, really.
Right. So, as we just brought up 30 seconds ago, sign and trades in the NBA.
Exactly. Who was the other one I want to ask you about?
I think the Cavs did a smart move, and we probably won't even get into this, but the guy that they got for the guard that they got from Golden State, signing him to an offer sheet, knowing that it for Golden State to sign him, they've got to up the ante, which actually straps their cap number a little bit more.
Well, I think giving Draymond Green $100 million was pretty friggin' stupid.
Yeah. But you had to think that there's no way that Draymond realistically was going to leave that team with the history that he's got.
No one wanted him. The headaches aren't worth it with him.
Watson.
Look, man. Yes, Watson. Although, with his history, I'm surprised he didn't go to the Bucks. Who, by the way, did you see they put the band back together? Because Lopez is going back?
Yeah. They also made another signing today, didn't they?
I did not see.
I'm pulling it up now. I could have sworn.
Too busy enjoying the fact that the Mets won a series.
Michael Beasley.
How old is Beasley?
827 years old.
Still not older than that.
Sorry, Malik Beasley.
I see. Michael Beasley, I think, has been out of the league for a while.
Yeah, it was Malik Beasley. Shows you how often I follow some of the depth in the NBA. 1 year, 2.7.
That's crazy.
Anthony Edwards re-ups for 5 years with the Wolves. That's a big move for them.
Yeah, it is. Who was it? Is Edwards the rookie that signed the $260 million advanced rookie something?
Yep.
Jeez.
5-year Supermax. Could be up to 260.
Oh, okay. Speaking of contracts, you see an executive was asked how much you think Ohtani's going to get. Has 11 years, $550, and the guy goes, keep going.
Yeah, we talked about the ball that last week. We talked about the ball that De La Cruz hit. I still do not know where exactly the ball landed that Ohtani hit the other night because the camera never picked it up from any angle.
Nope.
You only saw like a shadow as it was like heading towards the seats. You never saw the ball hit there because they couldn't zoom in that far. Or that
I'm waiting for someone to do the meme with it hitting the legs from the end of the fucking natural.
All I got to say is not too high, too hard.
Who gives a shit? It's gone.
It's gone.
We got to have that episode, Jim.
We really got to just that will be coming. We've actually teased it. We have not. We talked about it off the air. It's alluded to somewhat on the show page on my blog, and there's a new section that as specialty episodes come up, you're going to see them in that month, and then we'll actually slot them and schedule them accordingly. But yeah, we are going completely off the rails for an entire episode very, very soon, probably sometime this month.
Most likely. Hey, if we can't get our guest Saturday, why don't we do it Saturday?
That's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. I haven't heard from him yet.
It is not a bad idea. I'll message him tomorrow as well at some point, or,
all right, cool.
Or Wednesday.
Sounds like a plan. So speaking of,
we might also have an extra. We also might have an extra thing that you and I might be doing on Saturday as well.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be cool if we could actually figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, that might be rough.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
We might have to wait a couple weeks on that one. So let's get to the other big thing that's come out in the last couple of days, and the All-Star teams have been named in Major League Baseball. And I want to ask you a question, and this is an honest question with an honest response from a Cleveland dweller. How is Francisco Lindor not an All-Star? He leads all of Major League Baseball in home runs and RBIs at his position. There is no other position on the field that the guy who leads for him is not an all-star.
I don't want to say it's politicking, but I'm thinking it's kind of the same. What bit Lindor is the same thing that bit Josh Naylor here in Cleveland. The fact that they are an underperforming ball club, and they're putting up great numbers, but there's other guys that, in front of them on more winning teams that the numbers may not be the same, that they feel would be a little bit better of an attraction.
But here's the other thing, too. He was a finalist in the vote, and Met fans have got to get off their ass and start putting these guys in the game. I'm sorry. Pete Alonso should not have been the 5th highest vote getter at first base, as popular as he is with this fan base. And Lindor was in the finals against Orlando fucking Arcia from the Braves. The entire Braves infield is going to the All-Star game. Maybe one of them deserves a shot.
Yeah, but the Braves right now are the best team in the National League.
I told you weeks ago they were going to run away and hide. Anybody in the NL East is playing for one of the 3 wildcard spots.
Right.
They're deep, but they had a scare today, if you didn't see that. Acuna stole his 40th base and went down on the slide.
But stayed in the game, and they ended up, ironically enough, they jumped out 4-0 against the Guardians, held on 4-2. They hit.
Oh, were they playing the Guards?
Yeah. They hit 3 bombs in the first 4 innings and then just kind of moseyed on in as who was it? It was Gavin Williams who got roughed up.
Was it?
Which is funny, is considering everyone was talking that Gavin Williams has performed brilliantly his first 3 starts, except for that one horrific inning against Oakland where he gave up like 6 runs or something like that on their recent West trip. And then he goes out and gets fucked up today.
That's going to happen, though. And Atlanta's lineup is nasty.
Yeah. But Tanner Bybee's been lights out. I could see him in a futures game this year.
Yo, you ready for this? So on the show, you can save whatever Road to the Show guy you're doing and start a new one. And I've been pitching for so long, I wanted to do a hitter. Guess who I had a hit against in Double-A? But Tanner Bybee. I was cool because I know you like him. Also, the home run derby. Well, most of the home run derby participants are out. Headlined by last year's runner-up in the kid from Seattle, the center fielder.
Rodriguez.
Mookie Betts is in the derby. Randy Arozarena.
Deserved.
Agreed.
You got to actually put the best power hitter from the best team in baseball in there.
Agreed. Yeah. And then ESPN did a little interview in the middle of the game last night, and we got what we all wanted. For the 4th time in 5 years, Pete Alonso will be in the home run derby. Here's a cool thing. Shut up, Dick. You're still pissed he won it in Cleveland. So last night the Mets played San Francisco. They were on Sunday Night Baseball. And you hear clapping when Alonso says he's going to be in it. It wasn't clapping. It was Eduardo Perez high-fiving David Cohn and everybody in the booth because he was begging Pete to do it again. And Pete's coach from when he was like 14 is going to throw to him. He promised him someday he'd be in the big leagues in the home run derby, and he said, "I will let you throw to me."
So they're already 8 games out of the wild card. So basically, just let him go out there and yoke batting practice. So this way he can swing himself out. So it's not like they really have to worry about contending the second half.
But the thing is, with his swing, he doesn't change it. Like David Wright in 06 when he did it, changed his swing. Pete Alonso, he's Hamilton Porter, Jim.
And I get the reference now.
Yes, you do.
Asshole.
Oh my God. Yeah, I am an asshole. But you know what? That was a good one. So yeah, Pete's going to do it again. Obviously, I'll make my pick now. I think Pete Alonso is going to go into Seattle and break Rodriguez's heart after getting eliminated by him last year. But Pete's my guy, so that's that.
I'm not going to, until I see the pairings, I'm not going to make the prediction. But the last time I made a prediction about the Mets where a tournament was involved, I was right. And Willie actually is, I think his jaw is still open, like Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
Or me from when my screen froze.
Yeah, but Willie's was natural. Yours was a glitch.
Yeah, that's true. So here's one last question about it. Of course, the Cleveland representatives, Jose Ramirez, Emmanuel Clase. I don't know if you're excited about that or not.
Ramirez deserved. Clase has blown 6 saves. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he is one of the best closers in baseball. He's definitely top 2 or 3. He's not the number 1 best closer in baseball like he was a year ago, but
he wasn't a year ago.
He was the best closer in baseball last year.
You're stoned. Trumpets notwithstanding. Trumpets notwithstanding. Edwin Diaz's season last year. Dude, did you see his strikeout rate?
I did.
He was punching out 19 or 20 per 9 innings.
And Emmanuel Clase was still a better closer.
You're on something. It's 95 with 100% humidity right now. My brain's not melted.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Hey, speaking of jacked up on Mountain Dew, did you see the guy singing "Kiss from a Rose" Cartman that I sent you in Messenger yet?
No, I'm so behind on some of the stuff that you sent me on Messenger the last couple of days, especially after yesterday, which we're going to get to here in a couple of minutes.
We're almost there.
The countdown is on.
Great. Now I got that friggin' Space Oddity song going through my head.
I got to see him in concert. I'm happy.
I guess there's only one way to break that, and that's Phenomena.
I got to see 9 Inch Nails open for Bowie. 1995 at Blossom, my first concert.
Mine was same year, January. Babyface, Tevin Campbell, and Boyz II Men at the arena.
Oh, God.
That was Boyz II Men's 2 tour.
I just remember that a bunch of people, because this was 9 Inch Nails' downward spiral area.
Yep.
And Nails was opening, and as they're winding down, they're going into Hurt, and one by one, the member of Nails is leaving, and a member of Bowie's band's coming out, and they're pulling tapestries out as they're replacing them, like mid-song doing this. So Reznor and Bowie are center stage singing this song as a duet. And little by little, all of Nails goes away, and it's basically Reznor at that point finishing his song with Bowie's band, and Bowie's got his whole set list up there, and a lot of people for Nails start leaving midway through Bowie's set, because this was when he was in the outside phase, where he was in that transitional period towards the end of his career. He goes into Under Pressure, and all of those people outside the gates at Blossom, and you know all about Blossom, are trying to force their way back in, and they can't.
Dude. First of all, people did that. They could have gotten back in if they wanted to.
Right.
But when I went to Hall of Fame induction, a lot of Met fans left after Piazza was done. Because, of course, Piazza spoke first. Because when you go in with Junior's speaking last.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Met fans got up and left. And as far as a disrespect thing to me, horribly disrespectful.
Yes.
This was and a lot of them were around my age. So this was the best player of our generation, and a guy in our generation who's got an actual legitimate argument of being one of the top 2 to 3 players of all time. And you freaking left.
Makes me wonder if they're actually going to have Joe Thomas go on last with the Hall of Fame just to be able to keep.
He's got to.
There.
He's got to.
Yeah.
It would be a huge. Who else is going in with him?
Keep talking. I'll find out.
So, but if we were still in New York, I probably would have come out for Joe Thomas. NFL.
I got it. It's loading.
All right.
Okay, class of 2023. Rondé Barber, Don Coryell, Chuck Howley, Joe Klecko, Darrelle Revis, Ken Riley, DeMarcus Ware, Zach Thomas, Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas has got to lead that list.
Klecko and them are going to go first because they're the old heads. Yep. Darrelle Revis will probably be big because he's from Pennsylvania. Rondé Barber, no one cares. No disrespect. No one cares.
Right.
Rondé, more people are thinking of your brother who left his pregnant wife. Yeah, Joe Thomas. First of all, Joe Thomas, the argument could be made that Joe Thomas is 1A to Darrelle Revis is 1 in that list of players who were the best at their job during their prime. You played that many snaps in a row for that shit team, and you deserve some kind of extra recognition.
Yep.
So, yeah, he's got to close it. He's got to.
There's no other way to do it.
Watch them put Revis last.
So you can actually see all these Browns fans in Ohio and just get up, and like half of the place will be empty by the time Revis speaks.
They'll walk the fuck out.
Yep.
And quite honestly, I'm not one for doing that. And I'm a Darrelle Revis guy because that's probably the end. That was the end of my Jet fandom, was when Revis was there. But I'm sorry. You don't – a Hall of Fame induction, you stay for the whole thing.
Yeah, but because if you also think about it, yeah, they were both great careers, both easily first ballot unanimous Hall of Famers. But Joe Thomas was Revis had a couple of rough years in there, but put together fantastic numbers. Joe Thomas, his final year was only because he tore his bicep, and Joe Thomas was one of the 2 or 3 best offensive linemen. Not so much the best, not even for left tackle, because he was the best left tackle in football for all those years. He was one of 2 or 3 best offensive linemen in all of football for over a decade.
And quite honestly, an argument can be made as the best left tackle of all time.
He's definitely up there.
He's in the conversation.
I was going to say, his face is on the mountain.
Agreed. But so is Darrell's at his position.
At his position, yeah.
And I mean corners, not full defensive backs. When you bring safeties into it, the safeties just blow. Quite honestly, if you're going to do a Mount Rushmore of defensive backs of guys we watched, only one of them is a corner, and it's Dion.
True. Yep.
Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, and Atwater.
God, Steve Atwater. As much as we hated Denver, because I know you
loved him
in Cleveland then, but it's like Steve Atwater, I respected the hell out of him, even when the Broncos were beating the Browns, because I have never seen a guy hit harder, more consistently, and clean in my life.
Agreed. Maybe the best form tackler in the defensive backfield I've ever seen.
Steve Atwater covered the corners to get to the angle to limit yardage better than any safety I've ever seen in my 45 years.
Yeah, he was off the charts. So, yeah, I think
he would get burned over the top at times because he wasn't the greatest cover safety, but there was nobody better in cutting down the angles.
No, and there's nobody better at stopping yard after catch. So, Jim, I think we should get to the hilarity that was your Sunday night. I almost said Saturday night because I didn't work today, so it feels like it's Sunday.
It was literally hilarity.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we started a few minutes, about 20 minutes late this evening for one reason and one reason only. As I signed on, and I got the link to the show late by my co-host because he was watching night 2 of the Savannah Bananas in Akron, and he was there last night. I have never been more jealous of this man in my entire life, as it is a game I want to go to. I now live less than 60 minutes from Savannah, and I can't go because they're sold out.
For the season.
Tonight, for the season. So tonight at home, Jim and I on YouTube, me on my TV in my house, Jim on his TV in his house, we watched the last inning and a half of
inning and a half. It was we're gonna go over all the rules of banana ball tonight because I got
well, let's start.
Okay, so banana ball it was loosely formulated out of baseball. It would resemble baseball to the naked eye. If anyone has ever been to a minor league game, if anyone has ever watched a minor league game, take the party and make it fan interactive and have it last for a good solid 3 hours. Now, I say 3 hours because the game itself is only 2 hours. And that's one of the rules. When we got there, first of all, where we parked, we were about a half mile, maybe a quarter mile, half mile from Canal Park, where the Akron Rubber Ducks play. And we had to walk right through the center of downtown, right down Main Street. And you've been to downtown Akron, so you know exactly where this is. We had to walk right through the Akron rib burn off. So just the smell of all of that barbecue as we're making our way to the stadium. There were already 3,000 people lined up.
You sent me the picture.
Yeah. And anyone who hasn't seen the pictures, go to my Facebook page. I'll have it linked down here below, but I put a couple of videos and a bunch of pictures up for that.
Keep talking. I got to cut out a second.
Okay. And they actually had, like, it was weaving back and forth through the street, and it was 86 degrees, so it was hotter than hell already. But they actually parade the Savannah Bananas have a pep band who actually paraded the players into the stadium through the fans that were already outside. So everyone got to high five, players as they were going through. As they got to the front of the stadium, they got up on stage, and then the pep band basically kind of sat down for a set, and the players did a dance number. All 20-some-odd Bananas did a dance number with the pep band playing. They let everybody in. It was basically kind of first come, first serve. There were 7,500 people there last night. There were 7,500 there again tonight, which is impressive in and of itself, except for this past weekend. They were in Indianapolis and played in front of 30,000 people both nights because the minor league ballpark in Indianapolis is the biggest minor league stadium in America.
What was the dance number to? What song?
I don't even remember. I think it was the Bananas theme song. And they did another one. But there was also a severe threat of rain all night. So we get in there, we get food, we sit down. First pitch is supposedly 7 o'clock. 6:45, the tarp comes out. And then it starts sprinkling a little bit, and they actually then refer to it as the greatest rain delay in the history of baseball. They had contests going on all night. They ended up having the Bananas versus the Party Animals, who were the opposing team, and I'll cover the Party Animals here in a second. They ended up doing choreographed dance numbers along the baselines, and got the fans involved. It turned into a sing-off between the first base side and the third base side. And then the sky turned into an absolute complete monsoon.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much rain did you guys get last night?
We got hammered to the point where I never want to see another drop of rain for about a month. and it gets worse.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So let me put it to you this way. The shoes that I wore last night are still not dry.
Whoa.
Um,
Wow.
the clothes are, the shoes are not.
Did you put the clothes in the dryer though?
Well, being in an apartment, I'm not going to pay $2 just to throw them in the dryer when I actually have to do laundry tomorrow night anyway. After I get back from my cookout, so they finally pulled the tarp off. They said even with a little bit of rain, because it finally let up after 30 minutes worth of just an absolute downpour of just getting drenched. Um, Everybody was soaked, and the problem was is that you kind of wanted to stand up because the only thing that wouldn't have been wet would have been your ass, and you didn't want to sit in that wet ass seat because where this park is, there's only enough cover for about maybe 1,500 people on the concourse when you first walk into the park. So there was no cover from this whatsoever. You either had a poncho, a hat, an umbrella, or you were just getting drenched.
Which did you have, sir?
I had an umbrella, but I still got drenched.
Okay.
Just because of how fast it was coming and just how much it kept shifting. But they finally pulled the tarp off at 8 o'clock. They said, "We promised y'all a game. Y'all were going to get a game." And then they came out and they brought as they were clearing off the tarp, and there was a very loud 7,500 people chanting, "Pull that tarp! Pull that tarp!" Then they start announcing the rules of banana ball. Rule number 1: there is no bunting because bunting sucks and it has no place in this game. If you bunt in banana ball, you are ejected from the game.
Are you kidding?
Rule number 2, and these are in no particular order: make sure you bring a glove, because if a foul ball goes in the stands and you catch it, it's an out, and it has to be caught cleanly. No deflections, no like you miss it, but it ricochets right to me. It can't hit a facade of the building. If it's caught clean on the fly, it's an out.
That's phenomenal.
Rule number 3: there are no walks in banana ball. If you get a 4th ball, you then have the ability to run as far and as fast as you want around the bases, and the team in the field, all 9 members have to touch the ball before they're allowed to make a play on the runner. So
that was that part we were watching tonight.
Yes. So that's why we didn't see it though, and that's why I kept saying, "Come on, where's ball 4? Where's ball 4?" Because then you have all 3 outfielders sprinting in, and you've got them tossing this thing around like the Harlem Globetrotters weave to be able to have all 9 players touch it before they can tag out a runner. So depending on, you'll see the runner determine just how fast and how accurate they are with this, and they'll decide whether to go for 1 or 2 bags.
And that's what I was going to ask you. This is basically like the Globetrotters and the Washington Generals.
Basically, yes. The 2 teams involved are the Savannah Bananas and the Party Animals. Here's the thing. They're basically all the same team. It's just they split them up into 2 squads.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are former major league draft picks. They may not have actually spent a whole lot of time in the show, but they were certainly in the minor system or played some college ball, Division I ball or Division II ball, something like that. God, what else? The start of the game. Oh, the other rule of banana ball that is key: the game can go no longer than 2 hours. They will actually put a 2-hour timer up on the scoreboard, and it starts counting down from the first pitch. So the game will go until, and they will play in the rain, provided it's not a torrential downpour and the field's unplayable, or they find lightning in the area. Which there was a little bit of lightning, which is why it started so late. But the game will count down, and typically when they get within 10 minutes, they'll actually say that this will be the final inning, and that's where the scoring comes into play. So sometimes they'll get 9 innings in. Sometimes like last night, they only got 7 in with the rain and everything. They actually even called the game a little bit early. There were still like 15, 20 minutes on the clock, and they said this will be the final inning. Scoring in banana ball is unlike anything you've ever seen. It's basically baseball mixed with golf match play.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
So if the Bananas go out and score 2 runs in the top of the first inning, the Party Animals have to go out and score at least 2 runs. Otherwise, the Bananas win the inning and win a point. If the Party Animals go out and score 3 in the bottom half of the inning, they can walk off the inning and take the point.
Which is what we saw tonight with the other one.
Yep. When they get to the final inning, every run counts as a point, which is why, we were kind of disappointed because the Bananas had first and second with 1 out, and they had the tying run on second and couldn't bring him home because they trailed 3 points to 2 tonight.
It was fun just a little bit. I got to watch with you.
They have they looked more like the Solid Gold dancers, just all jacked up, than anything with some of the dance numbers that you saw. There is not a first pitch, Michael. There's a first banana. They take a gentleman out of the stands. They blindfold him. They take a golden banana out of a special case. They put the blindfold on the guy. They spin him around 3 times, but not enough to make him dizzy. They take the banana. They throw it somewhere on the grass of the infield, and they make the guy get on his hands and knees and crawl and try and find the banana based off of the crowd reaction, pointing him in the right direction. Then when he finds the banana, then he goes back to the pitcher's mound and throws the banana to home plate as the first pitch.
I would like to find the banana at some point in time. That sounded really bad.
But wait, there's more. The 2 most jacked members of each team that night will come out of their respective dugouts after player introductions, and they will weigh in. All shirtless and everything, covered in body oil. They will weigh in like it's a title fight. They will put
body oil.
They will put the scale on the pitcher's rubber and weigh in. Then the 2 face off, and it's a prelude to the evening's festivities because they will have a probably 30-second 2-man choreographed dance number, which will lead into the dance numbers that will happen in between innings later in the game.
So basically, my background of pitching and being in show choir would have done me well if the bananas were a thing before I got old and out of shape.
Very much so. Very much so. I want to say it's after the 4th or 5th inning. It's the "Hey Baby" inning, whereas every team gets up and whereas everyone does take me out to the ball game in the 7th. Since you don't know how long that's going to be, with a Bananas game, you could only end up getting 6 innings if it's an offensive explosion. Both teams will take all their players, line them up the dugouts, and they will actually do a choreographed dance number with the crowd to "Hey Baby."
That was featured in Dirty Dancing when he was teaching her the dance number.
No,
the newer version, but the same song.
Yes. Any wrestling fans out there, you'll know that they changed "Hey Baby" to "Hey Bailey." So yeah, that song. I sent a clip. It's on my Facebook page. I can't get it off my phone to play here right now. It's all, you know what? I might be able to just run it from my phone.
I'm already on it.
No, I'm talking like not the song, but the clip that I took.
Oh, okay. I was playing the song.
Now it's in black and white because it's the my phone's in sleep mode, but
Ooh. I wanna know if you'll be my girl.
So
Did the umpire shake his ass last night?
yes, they have one of the umpires is world famous dancing umpire. He was on the third base. He was on the first base line last night. He was behind home plate tonight. He will be singing and dancing with the players, and players will be probably standing on first base or leading away from first base, dancing along to the music. Way too much Taylor Swift being played last night for my taste. And actually ran out to what did we see tonight? That there was a fan challenge, and then they all ran out and like celebrated that they actually got the call right.
That was great. And you know who'd never be in that group? Angel Hernandez. But go on.
I knew that's where you were going, but it was worth it.
I'm sorry.
As the sun relatively goes down, if it's early enough in the game, they will do. You know that you've heard the song "Yellow." Stop playing. They will actually have the fans come out and like turn on all their phones, and you get the firefly effect with all the lights off in the arena, singing to "Yellow," which is like bananas yellow. There is a stilts. This gentleman plays usually about a half inning or like one at bat or whatnot, but will actually tonight he pitched and had decent.
I don't know how
in stilts, and he will wear those stilts the entire night, like walking into the stadium during the parade, in the stadium, on the field, everything. And what, second best hair in the league? They said something like that.
No, he had the best hair in the league. The guy in the Party Animals had the second best hair in the league.
Okay. So it's because I didn't get a whole lot of out of the graphics because they stream the games live on YouTube, but they don't play them in the stadium because they don't want everyone watching the scoreboard. I mean, if you're watching at home, you could watch them on YouTube, so they don't simulcast it that way. Which is
yeah, the one I liked with him, the Avengers one that we talked about with Alex.
Yep.
He was playing center field.
Yep.
And he stayed there. And of course, everybody else goes running. Did they do that last night?
No. Every night it's a little something different. They had to, I don't know how much they really kind of had to cut last night with the weather because of they didn't know when it was going to open back up because they got about an hour and 40-minute clearing. And then it started to move in the last 15, 20 minutes of the game.
That's why they called it.
Before everything even really gets started, I'm talking like before the announcements, actually just after player introductions, before the weigh-in, before the first banana, there is the celebratory baby of the evening. They will take a baby out of the stands, put them in a banana suit. The banana mascot will take them out to the pitching rubber. All of the bananas will come out to the pitching mound, circle it, get down on one knee, and the baby will be presented a la the Lion King, complete with music.
That's fucking great, and I need to find out how my son can do that.
Well, typically it's got to be a newborn. They won't do it with a toddler.
Baby. Okay.
Baby. Friday night, what are you doing? Tune in at 7:00 for about a half hour on YouTube, and you'll see all of this.
Okay.
Matter of fact, hey, if it's early enough, you don't even have to put Bobby to bed. I think Bobby would enjoy the hell out of this.
Well, Friday night's boys' night, so
yeah, I was going to say you, me, and Steph, if she's around, might need to kind of just like video call this or like Google Meet or something. This would be fun.
The spouse will be in Palm Coast with her best friend who's coming down from New York.
Understood. So yeah.
So the boy and I may just do that with you.
Oh God, what else? Because there's so much. There were the sing-offs, the dance-offs. They did Family Feud last night.
Stop it.
They had 2 families of 4, a mother, father, and 2 daughters on each of them. And it was musical Family Feud. And they took one of the girls who worked with the team, and they had her stand with a microphone, essentially or sit like a microphone with a microphone, like this, directly behind home plate in the grass, so she wasn't sitting in the dirt. And it was loosely like right on top of her head, and they would play. It was kind of like Family Feud meets Name That Tune meets musical chairs. So
interesting.
They would start playing a song, but they wouldn't tell you what it is. And the first person from either family who knew what it was run up and snatch the microphone out of the girl's hand. And you had to give the name and the artist, the name of the song and the artist. And if you won, they gave you a banana cream pie that you could throw into the face of anyone on the opposing team.
That's awesome.
So the 2 fathers got it. One father got it. So there was Team A and Team B. Team A, the dad gets it, but he gets help from his daughters. Takes the pie, smashes it into the face of father on Team B. Second round, father of Team B gets it, returns the favor of the father of Team A. Round 3, the father starts to go up, gets it wrong. The 2 daughters go up. The daughter from Team A gets it correct, and takes her pie and smashes it in the face of the father of Team B. The daughter of the same age, approximately, of Team B gets round 4 correct and uses it to smash the daughter of Team B, who smashed her father in the face. Payback. But
that's phenomenal.
During the rain delay, people are just trying to stay dry or anything. And then as the monsoon is letting up, we're starting to see something happening down the right field line as the players are out there and, they're kind of interacting with the fans, kind of tossing balls. Players are actually kicking soccer balls around, although nobody used the tarp as a slip and slide, which I was
I'm shocked.
Yeah. They were throwing footballs around, but a lot of them they knew it was going to be at least an hour. So a lot of them just went back in the dugout and just chilled for a little bit. Some of them went up in the stands and talked with the fans if they didn't want to get wet or were out on the concourse. We actually start seeing a group of mid-20s, you figure college kids, something like that. And as the music's playing, they're just having a grand old time. So they're standing there with their beers. They're actually just dancing down in the stands and everything. And before too long, we actually start seeing it's turned into instead of the foursome that was there, we actually then start seeing it was 10, 15, maybe upwards of about 20 down there. And it starts turning into I hate to use the term wet t-shirt party, but it's basically, it turned into It kind of resembled the dance party after they pulled the sprinklers and accepted. And
that's the first thing I thought of when you said wet t-shirt party.
And everyone still had their beers. And I'm thinking to myself, all these girls had their White Claws and their beers in their hand. It's how much more watered down could that thing get in the rain? But it was just funny just because they weren't doing anything outlandish, but they're just singing and hamming up with these songs. God knows how much in the bag they were, but just everyone's out there just having a friggin' party.
I need to go to.
Way too much Baby Shark for although it is very cool to see 7,500 people doing the Baby Shark thing as the song is going while the bananas are hitting. And you were the first thing I thought of, and I couldn't clip it because it was so random at times. So I couldn't pull my phone out fast enough.
Do you understand how many different versions of that song I have listened to?
It's the original version.
Okay. There are several that are at different tempos. There are several at different time signatures. There are several at different key exchanges. When I do the Manamana to people and they get mad at me, some people say Baby Shark to me and I want to throw things.
That's how I kind of was with Baby Shark last night.
Weird Al needs to cover Baby Shark.
Oh boy. Yeah, it was the Baby Shark dance.
That's amazing.
Come on.
My in-laws in Florida, they want to go too. And that's how I found out they were sold out for the year. Is that they have tried to get tickets. Because they had mentioned a date on the thing. They played in February in Daytona.
Yep. That's where, they'll run from Daytona. I'm sorry, they'll typically run Daytona in February, early in the year. And then they typically finish up around Cooperstown sometime in April in August.
The Bananas at Doubleday Field.
So we covered the rules, we covered the dance-offs, we covered stilts, we covered the weigh-ins, we covered the first banana, we covered the sacred child of the evening. We've covered Hey Baby, we've covered Family Feud, covered the scoring, covered the final inning. They will typically do some sort of choreographed dance number every time a run is scored.
My favorite two so far. Well, actually, one is the run scored, one the conga line on the home run. But my favorite walk-up music so far is them doing the final dance scene from Footloose at one of their home games.
Yeah, one of their players, and everyone's got a nickname. One of their guys is Jones, so they call him Mr. Jones. So it's Counting Crows, Mr. Jones every time.
Was the Irish guy goes up the ship to Dropkick Murphys?
Sometimes he comes up to Dropkick Murphys. Sometimes they just bring him up to like an Irish jig, and he's always got a green leprechaun's vest on, and he's always got like super high green knickers.
That's awesome.
I'm going to get to this one here in a minute, but because you saw it tonight where the double steal came into play. But we'll cover that here in a second. But one of the guys comes up to Billy Squires' The Stroke, and everyone knows that song. The guy behind me, older gentleman, not too much older than me, says Billy Squire, his one hit. And I turned around and I looked at him. It's like, dude, No Love for Everybody Wants You. He's like, that's the running joke that goes on in the house with me and my wife every time they play this, because 97.5 WONE is based out of Akron. So it's the Akron rock station, whereas WMMS is the Cleveland rock station. Well, we all know that 97.5 plays the same stuff over and over for the last 30 years, including the same 2 or 3 Billy Squire songs. And most of that is The Stroke. So I turn around and go, what? No Love for Everybody Wants You? It's like, that's the joke that me and my wife have in the house, is that if you were to look up Billy Squire's greatest hits, it's The Stroke 9 times.
And then the other one, the 10th, right?
Right. No, he didn't even say that. I'm like, but dude, it's a great song.
It is a great song.
My personal favorite, and Mike got to see this firsthand when we were watching the last 20 minutes of the game. There will be designated one party animal per night who is the donut of the night. And they will have the entire crowd chanting donut. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit if I can. Donut, donut. And if that player strikes out, not only will the Bananas run out on the field with boxes upon boxes of Dunkin' Donuts, little donuts, and chuck them into the crowd, but everyone will get everyone in attendance will get like they'll put up like a code on the screen or a link or something to people in the crowd where they get a free donut at Dunkin' Donuts the next day as one of their sponsors for this year.
That's hilarious.
Last night was the first game of the 2023 tour that they did not award donuts because the donut player went 3 for 4 last night.
And of course, he strikes out as we're watching tonight.
Right. So I told Adam, my best friend, who had the tickets, and he's just like, wow, with like 7 W's at the end of it. It's like, dude, yeah, because I wanted donuts because you can't beat Dunkin' Donuts unless it's Tim Hortons, and you know all about Tim Hortons as a New Yorker.
I was always partial to Amy Joyce.
But with the fact that you couldn't get Amy Joyce in New York.
No, I'm just talking in general.
Right. I mean,
and by the way, Tim Hortons wasn't on my side of the state.
Yeah, that's right. They were a little bit more Western New York.
They were Buffalo and Western New York, yeah. Or as I like to call them, Canada.
Much better than Stan Mikita's donuts in Chicago, I've heard. I recommend the Sugar Pucks.
And 1 jelly donut.
What do you think you're doing? Only Garth and I get to talk to the camera.
Ed O'Neill talking about killing a guy in a blind rage during a gay session is probably one of my favorite off-the-chart cameos in movie history.
I was thinking about filing papers with the union. Well, the world's a sick world. Yeah, that's gonna have to be on our specials that night.
It's gonna have to be.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
If you're gonna spew into this,
it will be mine. Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
It will be. No stairway denied. And as a Zeppelin hater, I fully back that statement.
I will say this though: watch Heart with Jason Bonham cover Stairway at their Kennedy Center honor.
I couldn't do it because I hate Zeppelin that much. I can't do it. I can't do it. Zeppelin for me is the most overrated band of all time, even more than Kiss and Nirvana.
Funny, for me, it's the Beatles.
Beatles were good. They were up. They were a lot more overrated, but everyone has some Beatles songs that they like. I couldn't name a Zeppelin song that I liked.
Oh, okay.
Matter of fact, I probably couldn't even name 5 Zeppelin songs. It's an experience. If you ever get a chance to go, I am fully backing. Get on the list early because I think Adam said that he went on the list in November and couldn't even buy the tickets, I want to say, until like January or something like that. So there's a waiting list.
All right, so I'll have to figure out how to do that.
You're not that far from Savannah, are you?
No, I'm about 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, so it would definitely work well for you because they how their schedule worked this past week is they were in Indianapolis on Friday, Saturday, then headed to Akron Sunday, Monday. Found a way to squeeze in last night's game. They will not do anything tomorrow for the holiday so they can have everyone home with their families. They're traveling back to Savannah this weekend, and then they'll play Saturday, Sunday. I want to say they'll play like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or something like that. And then when they're down in Savannah, they actually have a group of seniors, and I'm not 100% sure that it's not also some of their grandmothers as a dance troupe.
That's great.
The Savannah Grannies or something, I think they're called.
That's wonderful.
They also have a dad bod squad.
Ooh, I could be on that.
But it's with all the fan interaction you've seen probably going to minor league games, it's the entire night. And we're not talking
That's
like
great.
in between innings. We're talking like during gameplay.
See, I like the foul ball thing. Because you know you're going to get some idiot who's going to lay out onto the concrete to make a catch.
Yeah, but typically when the Bananas hit the foul ball, people want to leave it alone because the Bananas are the home team for everyone, even though tonight they were the visitors with those yellow uniforms. But it's like everyone pulls for the Bananas, even though they're all the same squad. But it's like when one of the there were 2 botched fouls from the Party Animals last night, but when somebody caught it, the place exploded.
That's great.
It was probably the loudest ovation of the night because they were ready to put several runs on the board at that point.
That's phenomenal. Well, James, we are at 90 minutes, and I think it's time. It is that time, sir. Soundboard being a pain.
You know, it's playing, but I'm not sure how well it's picking up tonight for some reason. I don't know why.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think you might have to be in control because for whatever reason, it's not coming through on my end tonight.
That's all right. I got it.
It's playing, but I don't think it's transmitting through.
That's all right. I got it. So that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the closing segment of every Wise Guys episode, the Wisey Translator. As we have discussed previously, we give each other a name or an entity, as I did last week with the Colorado Rockies, and we come up with the first thing that pops into our heads. And usually, hilarity ensues. We've gotten a couple of honest answers, like Patrick's. We gave him Pat Riley, and he said the GOAT, and I get it. We've also gotten Brett Favre's Boss Hog. So we've gotten a plethora of them.
I also think Patrick's going to come next time he's on with us. I think he's going to come a little bit more prepared now that he knows how the Wisey Translator truly works.
I agree. But then again, as always,
sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Which I want to say is
right.
The third time that's been played tonight, but I think it's only the first time it's actually come over the air.
Oh, you played it twice more. Okay.
Yeah.
What were the other 2?
I don't even remember. I'll go back and watch it because I'll be able to see like when I'm like trying to do something on my keyboard. It's like, okay, yeah, that's when I was doing that, and I can't really superimpose the sound in.
All righty. So, Jim, we're going to start with you tonight, sir. And I am going to give you, in your first entry, we'll do 2 tonight. Your first entry, James Harden.
Piece of monkey shit.
I like it.
Talk about a guy. We all said that Kevin Durant was a hired gun and a crybaby. James Harden has forced his way out of every single place he's ever been.
And he's just a baby.
Yeah. And he's never, outside of a couple of scoring titles, he's never won a damn thing.
I think he's got an MVP award too, but whatever.
So does Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, but homeboy averaged a triple-double 2 years in a row and only won 1 MVP. That tells you what people think of Russ. All right, Jim, what do you got for me?
And to think that there was a big 3 in Oklahoma City and they couldn't actually get past the Golden State one, and then neither. Look at the trajectory of all 3 of those guys. They've never been right since. Russ has been nothing but a scorer, but he's also kind of been I don't want to say a cancer where he's gone. Harden's been a laughingstock, and Durant's basically a bitch.
Or a basic bitch.
Yeah, there's a segment I got to send you from the AEW show the other night where All Ego Ethan Page calls out MJF, and I have a little bit of a connection with All Ego Ethan Page. It's the first time I ever went to a independent wrestling show. The guy next to me is hazing Ethan Page, and then he blames it on me, and I'm getting into it with Ethan Page, just standing there minding my own business. And then we start trading barbs at each other in front of a gym of 500 people, and we met in the concourse afterwards, and it's like totally hashed it out and everything. And it's so I became a fan of Ethan Page after that interaction. But yeah, I'm a big Ethan Page fan.
That's great. Of course you'd get into it with somebody verbally at a friggin' wrestling match.
Considering now Ethan Page is now kind of a body guy who's 6'4" and 260 and built like a brick shithouse.
He probably would have killed you.
Back then, he probably would have as well. It's because he wasn't so much of a body guy back then, but he had a little bit of his character had a bit of a mean streak. But his real name's Julian, one of the coolest wrestlers I've ever met.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Jim, what do you got for me there, bud?
Michael, your first name tonight in the YZ translator? Stilts.
The theme song from The Greatest American Hero.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this one is over. We have a winner.
Oh, God.
God, I don't even know if I have another one left in me after that. My God, what a pull.
Oh, of course I go to pull it up and I get that stupid idiot from State Farm.
Fans were singing along with so much music at one point, they actually ended up playing the new BK jingle.
Really?
So you actually had 7,500 people singing BK, have it your way.
Hold on. That, of course, is Joe Scarberry's theme from The Greatest American Hero, Believe It or Not, which, by the way, I love that song in general.
Granted, great song, but what do we most remember it about that we can't stop laughing every time he
couldn't land.
Huh?
He couldn't land.
No. Remember, it was dude running around in Free Guy with the glasses.
Yes. Or the fact that it looked like the guy in the TV show was wearing red pajamas and he couldn't land when he flew.
God, that was like, I think you can go on to like YouTube and watch the entire series or something. I think they've got it up.
It was only like a season and a half, yeah.
God, it's like all the stuff that we grew up with, or even 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe even like 30 years ago or whatnot, you can find it on Plex or Tubi or YouTube. It's like I was watching the original Silk Stockings episodes the other day. I know we brought it up with Alex about 6 months ago when he was on with us. But it's like I was watching that. I actually started watching the original V miniseries from '84.
Great show.
Yeah. The remake, not so much, but it's
Didn't they do another one? It was called Alien Nation, where they basically assimilated into our lifestyle, and the guy was a cop, and the only thing that got him drunk was like curdled milk or something.
Yeah, because remember in the original V that it scared the finale scared the shit out of all of us because they never had a finale, and then you had to wait a year before they eliminated the humans, eliminated the aliens.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's especially when you were as young as you and I were back then. That scared the shit out of us for a year. and which is wonder why they never really went back and replayed it after the first airing. You either had to tape it off the TV on your VHS, or you weren't getting it for a year.
Do you know how old I feel right now?
Now I want to go back and watch like really good sci-fi shows, like shows on the Sci-Fi Channel from like 5 years ago that had like.
I think I'm going to find Mystery Science Theater 3000 on YouTube tonight.
I got one for you to watch if you can find it somewhere where you don't have to pay for it. Look up the show Continuum.
I think Tubi's got it.
Continuum was great. You saw the first G.I. Joe movie?
Bits and pieces.
The one that actually had Wayans and Channing and okay, remember
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, remember Scarlet?
Yes.
It was her. She's the lead character. Her name is Rachel Nichols. No, not that one.
I know.
But she is a cop from 2077, and she apprehends a terrorist group, and they find a way to all travel back in time, and she is stuck in 2015. And she's trying to figure out a way to time travel back home to her husband and son. And what's funny is that all the technology that she has had in 2077, when she gets transported back, it's all prototype stuff that only one person knows about or can interact with when she's back in 2015, and it was the creator. The problem is he's a 17-year-old kid back in 2015.
That's crazy.
It is so good. Victor Webster is the lead cop that she kind of teams up with, and I know Victor Webster from a lot of Hallmark movies, and he's been other stuff that people would know, but this show is just fantastic. It's got 5 seasons in it. The 5th season was only like 6 episodes, but I highly, highly recommend Continuum. Very, very underrated Canadian show.
I'm trying to think. Whichever one carries Ion will have Continuum.
I want to see. That's just it. When I picked, you know what? It might be on the Roku channel live TV section, because I think there's an Ion section. I think there's an Ion channel for that.
Yeah, I think there is too.
On the Roku channel live TV, there is a 24-hour commercial-free Transformers channel that shows all the old cartoons. The original Sunbrow 84 series.
I'm introducing the boy to that Saturday.
And it's not a whole lot of the new stuff. Like on weekends, it is nothing but old stuff, like the 88, like the 84 and the 88 series that we grew up with.
Oh, yeah.
There was like,
yeah, we're going to have to watch that.
Yeah, there's like some Beast Wars in there. I have not seen the new movie yet. I'm so far behind with that. I'm only up to 4, so I haven't seen Last Night.
No, I haven't seen The Last Night either. I have it. That was actually the first Blu-ray my wife bought me. She bought me a Blu-ray player and a Blu-ray for my birthday one year. And that was the first Blu-ray, was The Last Night. All right, Jim. I got one more for you. And I'm going to preface it by saying this. We have given you this person's franchise that he owns, big free agent signing, as a topic on the YZ Translator. I am now going to give you the owner of that team, and the name for you, James, is Mark Cuban.
The Mark Cubans, the Mark II socks, and whatever it is. Jesus.
I was going to go with the guy who's going to screw the drug companies, but, you know.
Yeah, but even though it's after 10 o'clock, we don't have to be up tomorrow morning. And even though we're probably all going places where there's going to be like really good barbecue, I'm craving a Cuban right now.
I'm having one of those cookies before I go to bed.
There's a new YouTube channel. Well, I don't want to say new, is because I think their last video, it's new to me, but it's this couple that are originally from Louisiana, then they moved to Chicago, and all they do is try out some of those food hacks you've seen across YouTube over years. Like the one I watched yesterday was like the 2-ingredient cheesecake bread. They did pickle waffles. I gotta find one of these and put it up.
Did I really blow your mind with pulling Greatest American Hero out of nowhere?
You kind of did.
Well, I mean, I did it because it's stilts and it's the chorus.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that far of a pull. I think Boss Hogg was a farther pull than that was.
I subscribe to way too many YouTube channels, but it's
you and me both, dude.
God, there's stuff in here that's months old. And I wish they, you know what? They're going to be so far down on this list because they haven't uploaded anything recent. There's a better way I can find this. No, I don't want Baby Shark again.
Do. You got to start right. Baby Shark is smaller.
That was Daddy Shark.
You're going to be doing that a lot when we're down at the game, aren't you?
Maybe for the Gator Chomp.
Well, that's what I meant.
Although there was a story that came out that they're doing a $400 million renovation where it's going to cost them probably a couple thousand seats, but it's going to finally get that stadium into this century. It looks like
the Swamp.
Yeah, they're doing something with BHG. Okay, here's one. If I can actually get the share screen to come up properly. Nope, wrong tab. Wrong tab. There we go.
I love him.
Putting the heavy whipping cream in between the spaces will actually make the cinnamon rolls just like the Cinnabon ones that you get like at the mall.
Look how goddamn big these damn cinnamon rolls then got.
What? No. Apparently heavy cream makes them bigger?
Welcome back to Ain't No Way, Jose.
We're about to find out. We're about to...
This man said you can make them just like Cinnabon.
Cinnabon.
Except pour them, it's fully loaded.
This is what we're working with right now.
Think it's gonna take longer to cook than usual?
Yes.
What's the temperature?
350.
Don't play with me.
My God.
How did that... What the heck? We got ghosts in here or what?
This ain't healthy for nobody. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't make that it's just good. But it does make it bigger.
It makes it bigger and better.
You think it soaks up all the milk?
Oh my God.
Even outside.
Putting the heavy whipping cream in between the spaces will actually make
that was my entire day Saturday, or actually yesterday before I left, was just watching all of their stuff.
We're going to make the ice cream with the pink and red Starburst.
Broccoli chips. No, I want all of their shorts. How Sunkiss can actually fool a COVID test. The creme brulee.
Saw that one.
The creme brulee bagel. Air fry s'mores dip. Pickle waffles. The Harry Potter wand that shoots Shin Mac.
We've had the fried pickles with the cheese that he does.
Peanut butter chili. 2-ingredient donuts. Yeah, 2-ingredient donuts.
Look at this. 2 ingredients.
Wait, that's only 2 ingredients?
Literally made
To
with
make
Greek
what?
yogurt and flour.
All right.
We need 1 cup of Greek yogurt.
3/4 cup of some flour.
Look how much easier. There's flour everywhere.
I didn't mean to
We
do
need
it.
that flour. Every time you go past it, you lose more and more of it because it's stuck in your fingers.
Plug in the freaking mixer. Look how fast I can go.
Too fast,
Okay,
too
okay,
fast,
okay,
too
stop,
fast, too
slow down,
fast, too
slow down,
fast, too
slow down,
fast.
slow down.
Why do you do
Wow.
that? 400 degrees, all right, for 15. Okay, that's
Oh,
plenty.
yeah.
Let's not do any more than
You
that.
sure?
No, yeah, we're not trying to die today. Now, Google says to microwave this for 20 seconds. Butter, sugar, Biscoff.
Got it.
Ready?
Ladies
Go.
first.
You could be bouncing off the dang walls. You'd be like Lionel Richie dancing on the ceiling. This is actually very
Cheers.
simple. 1, 2, 3, yeah. Oh, God. Wow.
Hot. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Look at this.
It's like I don't
Yeah, I
have
would
any,
do that.
I don't have any room in my kitchen for an air fryer, but I would get an air fryer just for that if I actually didn't want to lose all this damn weight, you know?
I have an air fryer and a stand mixer.
Yeah, and you see the 2 ingredients to use, you know?
Well, I have to use probably almond flour because of the gluten free in the house. But yeah, no,
I saw one on his channel today. I don't know how old it was. It was a cheeseburger to combat people who had celiac, where the bun was made out of fries.
Yep. And he did it on a waffle iron.
Yep.
We do a modified version of that with the air fryer. We use hash brown patties.
You know what's really good, and I don't know. I mean, with celiac, can you do like sweets or anything?
It's gluten free, is what it's got to be.
Okay, great thing to do in a waffle maker, because we used to do this all the time when we were training new people for the appliance line that I do. Behind the curtain of like what I do for a living, cinnamon rolls on a waffle iron.
Did it all the time. Did it years ago.
Greatest thing ever. Because you just load them sons of bitches up with icing.
Yeah.
You drown them.
No, the greatest ever was one year for my birthday. We had the molds where you bake the tortilla into a bowl. So we had the tortilla bowls with dinner. You know, you put the taco meat, make taco salad, put it in there. And then I did that, and I covered them with cinnamon and did vanilla ice cream and apples from an apple pie mix in the tortilla. Good night, everybody.
I ate 3 Italian sausages, a brat, 2 beers, a pop, and a Powerade last night. And I have ribs and dogs waiting for me tomorrow at the cookout. And I have to get 2 workouts in before I go there tomorrow. You are killing me right now.
You should probably go to bed.
I'm going to be up playing Mortal Kombat for a little while. Speaking of games, Alex, if you're watching, if you have not picked up AEW Fight Forever, you and I are going to fight.
Way to call out our best and most often used guest.
I've already paired. You've seen the Acclaim promos. You've been
Yes, I have.
introduced. You've been introduced to MJF. You know my love of Adam Cole. They're working an angle right now where Cole is supposedly the next challenger in line for MJF's championship when they go to Wembley for All Out next month. They've been put into a deadly draw reminiscent of Battle Bowl. I think we talked about this last week very briefly. MJF, to try and weasel his way out of having to defend the title against Cole, is now like trying to make Adam Cole seem like it's his best friend. Adam Cole streams 3 days a week on Twitch when he's not working AEW shows. MJF did a Tier 3 Prime subscription to Cole's page while he was streaming live yesterday to suggest names for their team or matching gear to wear.
That's great.
And Cole, you could definitely tell he's kind of playing up the angle, but he's like, dude, boundaries. Because you know Cole being
My finger was on the button for that from the minute you mentioned it.
I saw the clip on Twitter yesterday, and oh my God, was that funny. Speaking of which, Michael, please hit the button because your second name in the YZ translator, Elon Musk.
I can't say the first thing that came to mind because that'll get us banned.
From Twitch or from YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or what?
Yes. Think the Howard Stern joke.
Which we still will not share. We will not share.
Nope.
That you know what? The Howard Stern joke on this show is the Coquinus story.
Yes. Elon Musk. Douche canoe, douche canoe, douche canoe.
Did you see the I don't know if it's been confirmed yet, but did you see why the limitations were put out on Twitter?
Because he's an asshole?
Somebody thinks, and there's a lot of credibility behind this, although it has not been confirmed, that somebody did something and it broke the code. And to get it fixed, they kind of put the limitations on it to get it until they could fix the code. The other thing that's gaining a lot of traction is that I think somebody uncovered that a lot of the data is backed up into Musk's like personal Google Cloud account or something, his Google Drive. But because of the space that's necessary, because remember you could pay for tiers,
yeah,
he had to make a $1 billion payment to Google, and he's trying to avoid doing that by putting the limitations on there until he can pay that renewal.
Whoa.
That's what I'm hearing, and there's a lot of traction behind that, and a lot of news outlets are picking that story up.
That's crazy. So, Jim, let's say we put a bow on this and we come back to everybody on Saturday night. We'll let you know which episode it's going to be. If we have our guests, we will be very Cavs heavy going into the offseason, what they have done, what we still think they could do. There's a rumored Jared Allen trade out there that we'll dive into.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because that broke very late this afternoon, like just maybe an hour or two before you and I came on, that was picking up a lot of traction.
We're going to have a lot to talk about if we can get them on here. And if not, we very well may have our off the rails episode of nothing but movie quotes and what have you. But that will be Saturday.
It will not be called the off the rails episode. And I actually think before that happens, I think there's going to be a special graphic made, maybe different music, because this show may not look exactly like you think it will for that show.
That's right. That's right. But either way, we will see you Saturday night, 9 p.m. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bat being for batshit crazy. As Oliver says, hello world again for the final time this evening. So, Jim, anything else coming up? I know the sports note is alive and well and kicking ass. What else we got?
Earlier this week, we did the Connor Bedard to the Blackhawks, which also touched with the Blackhawks really not going out and signing any major free agents, trading for a former Hart Trophy winner in Taylor Hall. Although I really don't think it's going to be any sort of improvement for Chicago, because I actually made the equation that the Blackhawks should be the NHL's version of a broken mirror and should be entitled to 7 more years worth of bad luck for the way that the Kyle Beach scenario played out with them. It's going to be whatever actually happens between now and then. I know that story went live over the weekend, and I pretty much only do one a week. So unless something jumps off the page, that might be it. But if I don't run anything, it's because I'm getting everything ready for Saturday night's show, regardless of which show we have. And then, Michael, do you have anything coming up before we talk about what you and I are going to probably end up doing Friday?
No, nothing yet. I haven't picked the weekend in August that the Big Rican 5-year episode will be done. It will not be the final weekend in August. That's my wedding anniversary, and it can't be around the 6th. That's my wife's birthday, so it's going to be one of the two in the middle. We just haven't picked which one yet. As far as a Big Rican baseball show for the All-Star game, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. I am putting more energy into the Wise Guys than I am in a Big Rican, but you know what? Either way, you're stuck with me. But no, outside of that, it's the next big sports thing outside of the Wise Guys I got is pulling for Pete in the home run derby, and hopefully the Mets turning it around in the second half.
Yeah, we'll talk about that probably the week after, because I want to say the 15th. We're not going to be doing a show that Saturday night. We'll try and do our regular Thursday or Friday time slot because because Adam's throwing a cookout that weekend.
Nice.
His annual summer blast, and I think that's going to be also kind of a AEW tournament that night because he's going to have a copy, or worst case, if he doesn't, I'll bring mine, and we'll actually just beat the shit out of each other on Switch that night in his basement. Because I've already taken my personal guy to the championship. But
talk about throwback.
Yeah, we actually said we need an old school video game night. Just playing around until everyone passes out or somebody ends up fist fighting with each other. Dude, you quit cheating. So we're gonna have that coming up. We'll let you guys know on our social media feeds if what you might be in line for come Saturday night. Friday night, Michael and I are probably going to end up watching a little bit of the Savannah Bananas game on YouTube together for a little bit.
Yeah, it's guys' night. Mom's going to be out of town, so the boys, I think, are going to watch a little baseball. Yeah. I think we're going to watch the Bananas.
Especially if our teams keep going the way that they are, it's a welcome distraction because, let's be honest. If the Mets are in a 3-game series and you don't think it's going too well, you put on the Bananas and you laugh your ass off for 3 hours.
Well, the other cool thing, too, is I have the holder for the tablet. And I brought the tablet home from the office. So I can have the game on the tablet. Even if I got to put something on the TV for him, I can have the game on the tablet, the earbuds in, and talk to you and watch the game.
Yeah, and the great thing about the Bananas is when I went to YouTube to pull up the B family to play those clips a couple of minutes ago, I can actually go in and watch the replay of tonight's game in Akron.
I might do that tomorrow at some point.
Settle in for several hours. Last night they actually did the entire rain delay in the broadcast, and again they called it the greatest rain delay in the history of the world. And
yeah.
I was hard-pressed to disagree with that outside of the fact that it was soaked. Oh, yeah, real quick before we sign off. Again, I never want to see another drop of rain because as we were leaving, the rain picked up heavier than the first time when we got drenched, and the temperature had already dipped about 10 to 15 degrees. Actually, It was 86 when we got into the stadium. When we left, and by the time we got in the car, it was 68. So, thankfully, Adam's brother-in-law parked about I did actually mention that I went into near hypothermic shock.
Jeez.
I drove home with the heater, the ass warmers. There were that blanket that the spotlight is sitting on was basically spread out, and I had another blanket on top of that last night and trying to get to sleep at about 1:30. I was taking a shower at 12:15 this morning, just trying to warm up enough. I took my melatonin. I laid down on the couch to dry off. I fell asleep. I woke up. It was 1:30. It's like I was dragging. My throat's still a little raw, not from screaming, but just from the cold and the wet.
The cold. Oh yeah, that sucks. We did another 2-hour show, Jim.
We did, but this one was fun because you've been introduced to the bananas about 20 minutes before we came on. And yeah, I did actually monopolize a lot of the conversation, but I'm a lot more familiar with it. Now you're a bit of an addict and you'll get your first taste on Friday night.
I get my first fix on Friday.
A fix is a good way to actually say that.
God.
You'll get the baby, the weigh-in, you'll get it all.
That'll be great. So for JC Bluno, I am the Big Rican saying, join us on Saturday night for one of two things. And as always,
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
happy 4th, everybody.